Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are suing each other for what happened on the It Ends With Us set, but recently some very unflattering videos of Blake have been brought to light, and it doesn't make her look good. In a 3-year-old video, Blake describes times in her career when she knew she was just hired to be an actress, but that wasn't fulfilling for her. I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing or costume design and creating the character, she said. She continued on, "When I went in the meetings, I seemed like I was just there to be an actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship to feel fulfilled." Blake said that sometimes when she did this, filmmakers sometimes felt like a rug pulled out from underneath them as she tried to assert herself into something they didn't hire her for. Now this kinda just confirms what Justin Baldoni was saying in his lawsuit, as in the film the two actors played the lead roles and Blake was a producer while Justin was the director. Now Justin though has claimed that Blake took over the entire movie. Ultimately, Lively replaced the film's editors with her own choice, an editor often used by Reynolds, and the film's editors had to be let go, the lawsuit asserts. Now it also claims she also replaced the film's award-winning composer with composers from Reynolds' recent project, even though the film's composer had already finished the score with an orchestra, which is costly. Now people online are reacting to this, and they think that everything that's happened to Blake is her own fault. Well, now she has authorship of her own demise, one user said, and another agreed if they hired her to be an actor, be the actor, period. You can't just walk into a place and take over, she's cooked. And a third added, so she basically goes to auditions to become an actress, but wants to hijack the film after the fact, throw a fit if they don't give her what she wants. She openly admitted to that. Yeah, she is cuckoo crazy. Now, something else that Blake took over was the script. Now, Blake had reworked a rooftop scene for her and Justin's characters, and he alleges that she was seemingly stung when he expressed extremely mild resistance to the changes. According to reports, Blake asked Justin to stop by her New York penthouse, where he was met by Ryan Reynolds, her husband, who praised his wife's version of the scene. The legal papers state hours later, as the meeting was ending, a famous and famously close friend of Reynolds and Lively walked into the room and similarly began praising Lively's script. Baldoni understood the subtext, he needed to comply with Lively's direction for the script. Now later, the famous and famously close friend of Reynolds and Lively was quickly speculated to be Taylor Swift. Now Justin reportedly messaged Blake after the meeting, telling her that he liked her pages and hadn't needed Reynolds and her mega celebrity friend to pressure him. Now in response, Blake allegedly mentioned Ryan and Taylor as her dragons. Then things between Blake and Justin really heated up, and there were reports of the set being toxic. Now Blake had enough and left the set and returned with a list of demands. She claimed Justin improvised unwanted kissing, he called her personal trainer behind her back, and that there were various other issues while on set. Now during a subsequent meeting, which she attended with her spouse acting as a representative, Justin alleges that he was subjected to an aggressive tirade from Ryan, leaving him feeling berated, an ordeal he recounted as distressing in the lawsuit against the New York Times. The plaintiff's lawsuit alleges a shocking turn of events, claiming Reynolds and Lively blindsided the rest of the group with a list of grievances read out loud by Lively that were as troubling as they were fictional. Now it goes on to describe an intense confrontation, as Reynolds then launched into an aggressive tirade, berating Baldoni in what Baldoni later described as a traumatic encounter. As Baldoni later said, he had never been spoken to like that in his life. Now, some of these demands included that Justin should not make inquiries about Blake's weight and to make no further mention of her father, who had passed away. Afterwards, Justin claimed that Ryan actually pressured talent agency William Morris Endeavor, WME, to drop him as a client, but the talent agency has since denied these claims. One piece of damning evidence against Blake is when she confessed though in the past that she got the whole cast of her show to turn against one actor. Now the show was Gossip Girl, and Blake actually told UK Glamour that she was so unhappy that Penn Badgley was cast on the show, so she did everything she could to turn her co-stars against him. At first, I was so upset they hired him, she said in 2009. I actually poisoned the whole cast against him, but then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a really nice, charming person. Almost immediately, I realized that too, but it took me about a week to admit it. Ironically though, she then went on to date Penn for 3 years. But this just proves that she has power and can influence people, and that was was in 2009. She's way more successful now, so who knows what else she could have done, especially when it comes to Justin Baldoni. Not to mention, a lot of people had problems with how Blake handled the press tour of It Ends With Us. Blake was blasted as tone-deaf and shallow after she hosted an interview with her It Ends With Us co-stars Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer, as well as author Colleen Hoover, as the women failed to discuss the serious message behind the movie. The four of them laughed as they talked about their dream jobs and their zodiac signs, but there was no mention of the topic of the movie and bringing awareness to it. Now, Blake was the one who hosted this interview, and many people called her out online for their behavior and said she could have driven the conversation in a different way. Then in Jake Takes interview, hosted by Jake Hamilton, Blake was accompanied by her co-star Brandon Skellner. She was asked about how people affected by the movie might approach her in public to discuss some of its themes, and her response, well, wasn't the best. If someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they really want to talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it? Jake asked Blake. Blake then decided to answer this in what she thought was a funny way, I guess. Blake proceeded to make a joke as she sarcastically questioned, like asking for my address or my phone number or like location share. Now, she continued to joke, but eventually answered the question more seriously, which Jake actually defended later. But honestly, it just wasn't the right tone for that question at all, and I totally understand why it made people so upset. Now, Blake had also been using this film to promote some of her own businesses, which again was just not the right time to do so. She promoted her drinks company, Betty Buzz, and actually unveiled some floral-inspired cocktails for the film. She then created Betty Blooms, a limited series of bouquets housed in Betty Buzz bottles, as a tie-in to her character's love for flowers. Now, she also used the promo to announce her new hair care line, and during the red carpet events, fans noticed that Blake discussed her hairline rather than focusing on conversations surrounding DV awareness. And finally, after the movie came out and Blake was receiving all this hate, a journalist came out of the woodworks and exposed Blake for being horrible to her during an interview in 2016. Journalist Kirsty Flaw posted a clip of a 2016 interview with the star, which she said made her want to quit her job. In the clip, Blake is promoting the movie Cafe Society and is joined by her co-star Parker Posey. This interview happened months after Blake announced her pregnancy, so the interviewer started the interview with congratulating her on her little bump. Now, Blake didn't like this though and mocked her by repeating, "Congrats on your little bump." Blake was just straight up rude, and it's honestly unacceptable. Everyone turned on her again, but since the lawsuits have come out and Justin has been accused of trying to ruin Blake's image by running a PR smear campaign, many people thought Kirsty was paid for her deciding to release the video then, instead of when it was actually filmed. Now, Kirsty actually addressed this and said, "I've been reading through the lawsuit and I see there's been so much dirty work going on behind the scenes. I just wanted to say I had nothing to do with it. When I read the text messages that was going back and forth between Justin Baldoni's PR team, I was as shocked and appalled just like everybody else." I don't know though, it wouldn't surprise me if Justin had a hand in that. Well, that's all for our video on Blake Lively today. Are you team Blake or Justin? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.